Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Airspeed Reads Naruto video. And it's going to be the last one in this series, and it's for Naruto Volume 72, the final volume of Naruto. This one's called Uzumaki Naruto. As it says in the back here, we do get this logo here, final volume. It continues obviously through Boruto, and there is the kind of 7th Hokage Scarlet Spring story, which is Naruto Gaiden. But in terms of the main story, this is in fact where it ends. The cover, I think, is very fitting. Naruto, older as the 7th Hokage. That's what's written on the back of his cape. And just him overlooking the village. You can see leaves here kind of flying around the place. It's a very fitting cover, and you're kind of wondering, like, when you pick up this volume, like, how do we get to that point? We know he more or less is next in line to be Hokage after Kakashi. But what exactly, happens? How do they approach ending the series in terms of, do we see him become Hokage, or would you just get to see him later on as Hokage and we didn't actually see the inauguration? But, yeah. So, Volume 72, we cover the last 10 chapters of the series, 691 to 700. Congratulations, Revolution. Here once again, Naruto and Sasuke Part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, Unison Sign. And then the final chapter, 700, Uzumaki Naruto. And yeah, really, really good volume to end the series off. It really did accomplish, I think, most of what it needed to do, focusing in on something that the series has, I suppose, in terms of the character side of things, been about for such a long time, and that is Naruto and Sasuke, the different kind of paths they've taken, Naruto trying to get Sasuke back on his side, and the most important thing to get right for Kishimoto in this volume was, of course, yes, a good fight, but also just the dialogue and how Naruto gets through to Sasuke, and how Sasuke as a character processes what Naruto says to actually come back on the side of good by the end. That is the most crucial thing to get right, because if you make it happen too easy for Sasuke, it makes so much of the series kind of not worth it, in that, like, oh, Sasuke turned very easily in the end. What was the point of everything up to now? If there's also not a good enough reason for him to turn, that's another problem. So I think he gets it right, as we'll get into, but it is a really, really interesting thing that, like, he really had to get this right at the end here. But let's get into talking about this volume in terms of specifics. So, before we get to the fight starting, we obviously have just defeated Kaguya. It's congratulations all round at the end of the war, more or less. And, the Sage of Six Paths congratulates everyone. The nine-tailed beasts are around. And I like that Hagoromo takes time to basically note Kakashi as well. He says, "You're Hatake Kakashi, eh? Good job guiding everyone and sealing Mother away. That truly was the work of gods." And Kakashi says, "Oh no, I can't take credit. I hardly played any part at all. It was these three plus many others, besides which a former friend also lent me strength." And Hagoromo replies, "That is why I said good job guiding everyone. Despite losing your way, you remained Naruto's teacher and Obito's friend, or else you likely wouldn't have succeeded in stopping Mother." And it's just this little thing, like in these early chapters here, of just before Naruto and Sasuke's fight gets going and they're going to go off to the Valley of the End, you do have Kakashi talking a good bit with the Sage of Six Paths, and him kind of praising him, and just, Kakashi as their teacher being unable, powerless in a way, just like Sakura is here, to really interfere with their fight. Hagoromo just kind of telling him to just, all you can do is hope and, have faith in Naruto that he can bring Sasuke back, and that kind of love can be the key kind of focus here. So I really like that focus here, as we get moments like Naruto's happy to have all the tailed beasts back, and he just notes, look at Kurama all embarrassed and flustered, but this too is what I'd once envisioned, that there would one day be a shinobi who could even move the Biju to cooperate. And we just get a final moment of Hagoromo saying to Kakashi, saying then I shall ask Obito to tell me the tale of Obito and Kakashi to him in the afterworld. And we just get the final moment as kind of Kakashi's Sharingan fade away, because they weren't going to last, of just the final goodbye between Kakashi and Obito. And he just notes that, I really made a mess of the shinobi world, so much that I didn't even know what to say to you in parting. And Kakashi just says, we were able to say goodbye as friends, not enemies. And I got to see the old you one last time. Always late because you were helping others. That's plenty enough for me. And it's just this final moment of, I've kept Rin waiting long enough. And do you have an excuse? And Obito just says, I already told her I'd be helping you. That Kakashi, his final thing is realizing that Obito helping him was one of Obito's, stops along the way to getting somewhere else. And it's just this nice moment as the Sharingan turns off, and Kakashi doesn't fully get knocked out after this because of the after effects of the Sharingan, but he is definitely out of action. He's not going to be able to fight or participate in anything going forward. And it's just this final moment for, I suppose, Kakashi here of just Kakashi of the Sharingan is no more. He's just Kakashi from here on out. But obviously he is more or less in line to be the next Hokage, so that's an interesting kind of arc for him. But yeah, then we finish up with some of the Edo Tensei Hokage, and as well as the fact that Madara is kind of back. And Hagoromo just says to Sasuke and Naruto to basically just listen to what these two previous predecessors of you, of Indra and Ashura, what they say to each other in their final moments together. And so this is another important dynamic to get here, and I do like how it's kind of done here. Of just them both kind of reflecting that they're like the forerunners of the shinobi world, that they are both basically considered gods and legends in the shinobi world, but they both admit here that they in a way, they both tried too hard to accomplish everything in their lifetime, instead of focusing on just kind of creating a world where the next generation could perhaps accomplish their overall dreams. And that's what Hashirama is optimistic about, and it's where kind of he and Madara differ, of just the idea of you were always optimistic, but perhaps that is the correct way. My dream was squashed, but yours is still relevant and ongoing. And Hashirama was just we were both too hasty. We didn't need to fulfill our dreams ourselves. It was more important to cultivate those who would come after us. And it's just this moment of them kind of dying together as war buddies, and that even though they were enemies at the end, they started out as friends and can in the end die as kind of friends as well, because one thing that's always been established with them is that they always got this sense of joy in a way out of their fights, just how much they kind of were the only ones that were an equal for each other. And that's how this group of reincarnations kind of comes to an end. We see Naruto go over to his father, and the big thing here is just Minato saying happy birthday to Naruto, which we got before, that this was the day he was born, but here's just the angle of, it's your birthday today, happy birthday, you're 17 now. And he just basically says goodbye, and we get the usual thing with Minato and the interactions with his family of just, he doesn't get to say a lot, but he's happy just to let Kushina, or in this case Naruto, speak, and Naruto does speak a lot and basically answers all of Kushina's questions from before about, I'm eating properly, I eat lots of different things, not just ramen, I bathe almost every day, the ninja prohibitions and so on, I have friends, and all those questions that she asked at the end that kind of in a way wasted some of the time. But definitely a nice moment of just Naruto at the end saying, tell Ma when you see her that she doesn't need to worry about me at all, that I'm doing just fine, and Minato is gone. So that's that moment resolved. We also get in some nice moments with the tail beasts as they all kind of decide what they're going to do now that they're kind of, most of them are free of their Jinchurikis. They all can make a choice. All of them kind of decide that they're going to go to a forest or this other place. But Eight Tails decides that he's actually going to go back to B, because even his annoying rapping has ended up growing on me. And the question then goes to Kurama. What are you going to do, Kurama? Are you going to stay in Naruto or what? And the Sage of Six Paths just says a little piece of each of your chakras is already inside Naruto. That makes that a gathering place for all of you. And he asks Kurama to stay inside Naruto as an overseer of that gathering place. And Kurama acts like it's this big chore he's being asked to do, but you can tell that he is actually happy as well to be inside Naruto and happy to stay, connected with his Jinchuriki. And, this is where it switches to basically Naruto and Sasuke of just like, are your answers the same as before when I gave you the powers? And Naruto's is definitely the same. And he informs them that, okay, to undo the infinite Tsukiyomi, all you have to do is basically weave the sign of the rat simultaneously, which means basically connect the kind of sun seal and the moon seal together, do the same sign, and that will undo the jutsu. And basically Naruto's willing to do it, but it's all up to Sasuke. And he says, yes, but first I'm executing the current Gokage inside the infinite Tsukiyomi. And this is the turning point, obviously. This is kind of what we were waiting for. Sasuke clearly had a plan related to why he wants to become Hokage. And here he is kind of beginning to fill us in on what exactly that means. And it seems here, in basic form, kill all of the current Kage that exist. He immediately puts all of the Biju under Genjutsu, and he basically explains that his current dream is that... where is it? Now I want to destroy and then rebuild. A village without darkness. I will reform the shinobi world. What I'm touting is revolution. So the idea is that he, in his mind, says, all the previous Kage created these current circumstances, so I will become Hokage and change the village. This Hokage that you have mentioned, what do you mean by it? And he basically just explains to him. I suppose this is the Seijutsu's past not really getting what a Hokage is, but that being a very important thing at this point, that Naruto and Sasuke both want to become Hokage, and it's their interpretations of like what it means to be Hokage that is ultimately also at stake in this battle coming up as well. So what Sasuke does is he uses catastrophic planetary construction, seals all of the tailed beasts in these kind of giant balls of earth, and basically takes them away. And this is where the fight is going to go down. But the Seijutsu's past notes that, things don't just go as planned. When I bequeathed power to just one side, I ended up with Indra and Ashura. This time I bequeathed it to both, yet it still ended up the same way. And Naruto just says, all this sibling squabbling is going to end here and now. As we get the fight about to begin of just like Naruto stepping up to oppose Sasuke. The fight is going to happen now. And this is where we get the Sakura moment. She gets her chance to speak and says to Sasuke, I know in my heart that there's nothing I can do. Even though I love you, even though I care so much about you, Sasuke, I can't get close to you or exchange blows with you. I can only whine, beg, and cry like this again. It's totally pitiful, isn't it? But Sasuke, if there's even a little corner of your heart that thinks about me, please don't leave again. If we just stick together, I know it can be just like the old times again someday. And he just says, you really do make me sick, and puts her under a genjutsu, knocking her out. And it's a really good moment for Sakura in that, like, one, it's her finally, I suppose, truly admitting, that she loves Sasuke, and especially the moment of just, like, if there's anything in your heart that cares about me, don't leave again like before, because this is a repeat of part one, that just before Sasuke left, which eventually led to the fight with Naruto, Sakura came to him and he put her under a genjutsu and left. It's the same thing happening again, and I like that Kakashi steps up here to also kind of give his kind of say, and kind of in a way like just kind of point out to Sasuke just like, why are you so kind of cruel to Sakura's feelings here? And he just says, do you want me to play at romance? I have no reason to like her, nor does she have any reason to like me. And Kakashi says, you only need a reason to hate a person, and Sakura's not trying or wanting to make you hers. She only wants to save you. She, who you came close to killing once, she feels for and spills tears over you even now, because she suffers from loving you. And Sasuke notes, perhaps those are the ties to a failed past, as he remembers his family, and I suppose to a degree acknowledges here that he could, if he wanted to, like, have some sort of a romance with Sakura, potentially start a family. But at this point, he just wants to be alone. He doesn't see anything to be gained by having these strong connections or bonds. He only sees those as potential weaknesses. And that's like a key part going into the fight of just the person who wants to do everything by himself on his own versus the person who wants to do it like for everyone else, is supported by everyone else, and will do it for so many other people, including himself, and that's Naruto. So yeah, that is what's happening here, and the fight is just about to begin. But before Hagoromo leaves, he says, Love and affection are difficult things. I too once had 2 children. I loved them both and they revered me, but I entrusted everything only to the younger brother. That became the impetus for the older brother to begin hating me and his brother. Love had transformed into hate. What molded the current Sasuke is none other than his loss of love in the past. Madara was the same. And he says, I too want to make the future better in my own way. Having learned from past mistakes, this time I gave them, both of them, the power. The past does not exist to remind the present that the future cannot change. The past is supposed to exist for the future. And he says, since I hope that hate can be transformed into love this time, Uzumaki Naruto, the boy who was able to save and befriend Kurama, who had become a concretion of hatred, I think I shall let Naruto handle this, or rather I hope that love can be regained, since unlike Mother, Naruto as well as Sasuke know what love is, and that's the clarification going into the fight of just that it's not that there's no hope for Sasuke. It's going to be tough for Naruto, but he can get through to Sasuke because he knows what it is to care about people in the past. That's what was happening kind of early in part 1, before Sasuke made his decision to leave. It was in the past with his own family and so on, and in many ways, as they explain here, this is happening because of how much Sasuke cares. As Tobirama said before, the Uchiha, more than any clan, care and kind of love more than any other clan, and that's in part why this is so impactful. So they go to the Valley of the End. They each stand on the statue of their predecessor, Naruto on top of Hashirama's statue, Sasuke on top of Madara's statue, and they basically here clarify their positions on what it is to be Hokage. Sasuke says, to me, being Hokage means revolution, and Naruto just says, let me tell you something your big bro said to me, that it's not one who becomes Hokage who gets acknowledged by all, but that is the one acknowledged by all who becomes Hokage. Sasuke gets around this by basically saying, I learned not from Itachi's words, but from his life itself. We produce different answers. Let me clarify this before we battle. And he gives his reasoning for being Hokage. Basically that explaining what he sees as the framework of the village, and that Itachi was trying to sustain peace all by himself, suffering in the shadows, and that because of that, because he took everything on himself for the village, that he in a way was the true Hokage. And he says it's not the one acknowledged by all, but it's the one who accepts all the hatred that is worthy of that title. That's basically kind of Danzo's line of thinking in a way. And he just notes that Itachi made one mistake, and that is allowing hatred to kind of form inside me, and just noting again before the battle begins that I alone can bear the weight of all the hatred now in the world. And the fight is about to begin, as they both kind of reflect on their responses to each other, of just Naruto noting that there are things that you can't do on your own, of like Itachi in the past pointing out that Minato was great because he had Kushina there to support him, plus many others. Naruto himself has been so successful recently because of the people who's there to support him, that it's key. Like, Itachi told Naruto to, in your success, don't forget that at a base level, it was the people who supported you who got you to this point. And Itachi represents, and Sasuke at this point in time is kind of representing like the complete opposite of that, whereas Naruto is obviously, fighting for everyone in a way. And just continued kind of clarification here of just this sort of stuff before the fight, of just their different answers and what they said to the Sage of Six Paths, and how Sasuke was all about revolution, whereas Naruto was all about like friendship. And as the fight begins, we get lots of little flashbacks to like the first time Naruto and Sasuke sparred, to obviously this meant to be their final battle, as it properly happens for the first time, as Sasuke jumps into fight, Naruto activates his Six Paths chakra mode, as the first kind of blows come in, the Susanoo is activated. Naruto then activates his counter to the Susanoo, which is obviously the giant like Kurama projection here, which is the only way to counter that. And some of the big attacks kind of start to come in now, as we obviously get the idea of like when two powerful shinobi come to blows, they kind of sense each other's hearts, so they can sort of see what the other one is feeling in a way. So they can both feel each other's loneliness from the past, and how things have come to this point and so on. The whole idea of like their previous fight was about, you were alone to begin with. What can you know about me? This pain is born from my family bonds. How could you ever know what it means to lose anything? And, that being a key part of what's going on here. And Naruto fighting for the fact that, he doesn't want Sasuke to be alone again. And they clash once again. They continue to talk to each other about, the whole idea of their hearts being connected here. And Naruto not wanting to allow Sasuke to return to like that hell for his eternity, because Sasuke basically like at this point says that he has all these options like to make sure that his revolution lasts for like a long time. Reincarnation, immortality, he can make this last for longer than that, as when Naruto asks, what about after you die? So the fight continues with Sasuke saying, I'm the strongest in the world now. And some of the big attacks are really starting to come into play now. We see, the super kind of Susanoo here activated by Sasuke. Naruto using shadow clones with the giant Kurama projection. And a really important line here of just Sasuke pointing out about Naruto's signature technique being the shadow clone jutsu. That jutsu again, Naruto, that jutsu of yours is a symbol of your weakness. It's a jutsu that covers up your loneliness. So it's really interesting, this fight overall, when you look at their powers as well. Sasuke's powers are like completely his own. They all come from like his eyes, which obviously the whole idea of like the Sharingan and how it later becomes a Rinnegan is like informed by like the loss of kind of people, and in a way by loneliness, in that you only gain these powers by like losing people close to you in a way. Whereas Naruto's powers all kind of represent like connections with others, in that one of the key powers he has is the ability to like connect with Kurama's chakra. That means he has another being within him, so immediately he's not fighting on his own. And then the fact that he uses shadow clones for like multiple attacks with like combo attacks, it speaks to a difference in philosophy between the two, of Sasuke highlighting individual strength versus Naruto highlighting strength of kind of combination work, which is more or less what was said about Indra and Ashura in the past. But their giant attacks, connect, and they kind of go into their kind of final modes. And what's happening here is basically we get Indra's arrow, which is like Sasuke's most powerful attack. It's the Susanoo with a giant bow and this unbelievably powerful bolt of energy. And Kurama and Naruto have to counter this by basically doing these two huge giant nature energy assisted Rasengans to block this attack. And this is the moment where basically the fight moves from the superpower section to being more like a normal ninja battle, in that this uses up all of their like high level chakra, and they kind of both fall out of this, out of their major modes, in that like Sasuke doesn't have a ton of use of the Rinnegan anymore, and Naruto doesn't have the Six Paths powers anymore. They're both kind of quite battle damaged going into this section of the fight, as you can see up here. So it's kind of pretty important where we get to here. And yeah, like at this stage, they're pretty low on chakra. They both try and chuck everything they have at each other. We get a tease of the Rasengan Chidori clash again. But what ends up happening is just this really, really physical battle of just them going right up to each other and just slugging each other, punches, kicks, and it's just kind of devastating. And the idea is that they basically have a taijutsu battle that lasts almost an entire day, in that we see Sakura wake up later on and note that it's dusk when their battle had started like the previous kind of morning in a way. And this is when they get the idea of like Kakashi and Sakura are both waiting for this fight to come to an end, as Naruto and Sasuke are both kind of out of energy. But what we get here next is an important moment of just Kurama inside of Naruto is kind of trying to build up chakra again, so Naruto has power. But Sasuke basically just kind of like connects his fist with Naruto and basically absorbs the power that Kurama had just given to Naruto. And this is meant to be this kind of notable moment of just Sasuke now has the advantage. He has taken the energy that Naruto has. But Naruto counters this attack with a really nice uppercut, and we just lead to the final clash of the fight here, which is Naruto with just enough energy to do a big Rasengan, and Sasuke with just enough energy to do like a flame-assisted Chidori, and we get the classic clash that in a way ended their initial fight, and it's going to be the thing that ends this fight as well. And like before, we get the big moment of just pure kind of white as their clash kind of engulfs everything. Explosion happens, we don't see the result, and then we, at nighttime, basically see the two of them passed out on the ground next to each other. Kind of the idea is that Sasuke's just woken up, Naruto is implied to have been up for a little bit longer, and the fight is very clearly over. None of them have anything left really to kind of fight. So yeah, with the fight over, we move into what in a way is like arguably this is the moment that needs to be done correctly. This is the end of the fight. What do they say to each other that brings this kind of conflict to an end? That brings the arc of Sasuke that went from like volume 21 or something like that up to now. What brings it to an end? And so we get this dialogue here of just Sasuke pretty much starting it off of saying, "Why do you go that far? Why do all that just to get in my way? I gained the power to enter darkness and sever all ties, and naturally everyone tried to cut off their ties to me too at some point. Except for you. You never attempted to cut me off, no matter what. Why do you keep involving yourself with me?" And Naruto says, "You know already, don't you?" And he says, "Now that your body can move, your mouth sure is moving a lot. Just answer me." And the answer is kind of one that Sasuke expected, but also, that we as the audience expected. Naruto just says, "'Cause you're my friend." And Sasuke says, "You said that before, but what exactly does that mean to you?" And I like Naruto's answer here. I think this is one of the key things to get right, and it's actually really well written. You asked me to explain it, but honestly, it's not like I really understand it either. Just that when I see you take on stuff and get all messed up, it kind of hurts. And this is the eye-opening moment for Sasuke. It hurts inside so much, I can't just leave it alone. Though today I'm in a ton of pain everywhere, and Naruto's kind of, he's kind of grimacing, but, he's also, somewhat happy that the fight's come to an end in this way. And this is where we get, the dialogue from Sasuke. And I like what Kishimoto does here in that he puts in a lot of text, because a lot of text is needed for this. And over the course of these 2 pages that cover a lot of flashback, it's all just present day dialogue from Sasuke. "Naruto, I knew you were always alone. You were always all alone long ago. The village shunned you just like they did me, the lone Uchiha survivor. You intentionally did stupid things to get scolded and get people's attention. In the beginning, I thought of you as a good-for-nothing loser, a weakling eternally begging for attention. But the more I watched you being idiotic and getting yelled at over and over, it started weighing on my mind. That's when I wondered if your weakness was rubbing off on me. Afterwards, every time I'd see you, I think more and more about you. Seeing you desperately try to bond with others made me recall my family. And for whatever reason, I'd feel warm and fuzzy, but at the same time, I considered it a weakness. I trained hard as if to escape that weakness in order to get stronger than my brother, in order to get my revenge. Yet I ended up in the same team as you, and I began thinking about my family again. Completing missions with you, who jabbered on and on about becoming Hokage, I saw us both getting stronger and started wanting to battle you too someday. And I began to see a shadow of my own family in cell number 7. That's why every time I saw you suffering, that's right, I too felt pain." And just, at this point, getting to the stage where, what Naruto just said, Sasuke, at least in the past, has always kind of felt this way too about Naruto. When I understood your hurt, I finally saw you as a comrade, and conversely, I couldn't let you, who was rapidly getting stronger, just be. Watching you keep getting stronger, I always knew you were alone too. I felt better knowing there was someone who was like me out there. I was so happy and wanted to talk to you, be around you, but I never could, because I was also jealous of you. You were good at everything. You were my rival. You were my goal. I had nothing, but I built bonds. And then in our missions as Cell 7, I kept chasing after you. I wanted to be strong like you, cool like you. So that was what Naruto said, those last couple of lines. And Sasuke's response here is, It was the opposite. I was the one who was jealous of you. You had a strength that I didn't have. You were always walking in front of me, just like my late brother. And today, too, we see them kind of like temporarily kind of go unconscious a little bit again. They kind of reveal that they've kind of slept the night again. They can't move. And Sasuke starts to laugh. Naruto's just like, what's so funny? And Sasuke says, we're all messed up and you still want to fight. And Naruto says, of course, no matter how many times it takes. And then Sasuke admits, I admit it, that I've lost. And so this is a big moment of admittance from Sasuke to Naruto. And what we get here is just, I've acknowledged you now. If I die here, the long cycle of destiny will probably end as well. And he basically just says, transplant my Rinnegan into someone else and then undo the infinite Tsukiyomi. I will put an end to myself. And this is an important moment here as well, in terms of like Naruto saying, don't you dare. You dying ain't going to settle things. If you'd go that far, then live and help me instead. What I want to do is get all shinobi to cooperate with each other, including you, of course. And Sasuke says, just because you want that doesn't mean others will agree to it. And Naruto says, yeesh, fine, go ahead, keep sulking and whining. I'll beat you up again. And Naruto just says, I'll stop if you fight again. I'll stop you again. Actually, I know you're not going to do that kind of thing anymore. And Sasuke asks, why? And he says, don't keep making me repeat myself. Do you still not understand anything? Now that I think about it, you always were pretty stupid too. And Sasuke says, shut up, you buffoon. As we get the idea that like what's been happening here, it's kind of been leading to almost nothing, is they've just been having that kind of rival, friendly bickering moment of just saying, if we fought again, I'd beat you. No, I'd beat you. And they're laughing with each other. And it speaks to the fact that what's gone away at this point is a lot of the issues between them. But the reveal here, when we cut out, we've been focusing on their faces up to now, is that the result of that final blow is that they've each both lost an arm, and in a way the blood is kind of what connects them here. So they've each kind of lost their dominant arm here, in a way. So very, very impactful one here, because while we've seen injuries before, I don't think we've ever seen any like to that point where like there's just this one exchange that just blew both of their arms away. And it just speaks to the fact that like we zoom back out in the fight as well, and in a way the blood from their arms is making the unison sign, and they're lying on top of the fact that the two statues as they've fallen over have made the unison sign as well. And it's meant to be this kind of final moment of just the two of them have made the unison sign in the end. So this is where Sakura and Kakashi arrive at the battlefield and see the result, that they're both injured, they both lost an arm. Sakura immediately begins to heal it so that the blood stops, and they're both kind of, Naruto's like smiling and thanks Sakura, and then important moment from Sasuke, he says, Sakura, she just says, hush for now, I need to focus, and he just says, sorry, and he says, sorry for everything up until now. And Sakura's just like, you got that right, yeesh, it's about freaking time, you idiot. As Kakashi is watching on at the three of them kind of talking once again, and he says, it's finally back to the way it was. Naruto, at this time I recalled those words you said here once before, and this is Sasuke speaking at this point in time. How when you're with me, you wonder if this is what it's like to have a brother. That feeling of yours, I think I finally get what you meant. As we see, basically, everyone waking up for the Infinite Tsukiyomi. Hinata is one of the first persons we see wake up. We see that they have indeed done the Infinite Tsukiyomi release here with the arms that they do have left. And it's just this idea of like everyone kind of waking up. Iruka, the other Kage, Lee, Guy, and so on, Tenten, Orochimaru. They all wake up because Naruto and Sasuke have done the rat seal. We see, a lot of focus on Hinata here as the Infinite Tsukiyomi becomes undone, and we get more dialogue here from Sasuke. But a couple of interesting things happen here. We see Yamato wake up as well, which he was kind of just forgotten about towards the end of the war. We see why, I suppose, it was important that Tenten got her hands on those Sage of the Six Paths tools, because, of course, some of the Cloud Ninja were also taken in by those tools earlier on in the war, so that's why that's a nice little callback in like one of the last chapters. You decide to, spend almost an entire page on just saying like, oh yeah, those two characters who were trapped in there, yeah, we got them out. But yeah, Sasuke's dialogue. We started out as lonely brats, starving for love and fostering hate. We chose different paths to walk and battle each other, but now that time has passed, it's just like how I came to feel father, mother, and my brother's Itachi's pain and emotions. I'll now start knowing your pain and feelings too, Naruto. You never cut me off. In fact, you kept trying to get closer to me. You could have justifiably come charging at me with hatred, but you never stopped calling me your friend, even though I tried to sever those feelings myself. So that's a really notable one there of just that. That's kind of what Sasuke has decided at this point. He's decided that what he wants to do is spend as much time as Naruto has spent trying to understand Sasuke, doing the same in reverse, which I think is fits because like obviously Sasuke in like the Boruto movie very much understands Naruto to the point where he can help Boruto kind of understand Naruto. So I really like that. But the visuals that we see here are kind of like, this is where we kind of get a time skip. We see Sasuke freeing the tailed beasts, mainly Kurama. We see Naruto and Kurama connect again. We see the funeral for Shikamaru and Ino's fathers. We see Neji's as well. We see Naruto and Hinata next to each other at that funeral. We see, I think what definitely establishes the biggest time skip is probably just the fact that Kakashi's face is now part of the Hokage stone monuments, and he is in fact the sixth Hokage at this point. It's a little bit weird in that like he hasn't officially been like inaugurated as the sixth Hokage, but because it's basically been decided, he can make certain moves as the sixth Hokage, even though like Lady Tsunade is still like effectively still like in charge more or less. But what we get here is this: the Kakashi, Sakura, and Sasuke waiting at the gates here to the village. And Kakashi says, well, to be perfectly honest, someone like you would normally be imprisoned. That all of your past actions were pardoned and your wish granted speaks to the enormity of your help in undoing the infinite Tsukiyomi. But also, my becoming sixth Hokage and the wishes of Naruto, the key figure in ending the war, helped. Don't forget that. Try not to cause too much trouble from here on out. It'll fall on my shoulders. And Sasuke apologizes. So what we get here is that even though Sasuke is technically a war criminal, because of him helping in the end, and because Kakashi knows that like Sasuke is going to make an effort from here on out, because Naruto spoke up for him, he's being allowed to not basically like be put in prison for his crimes. And as we see here, he's going to basically kind of explore the world and kind of see things for himself now that he kind of has unclouded eyes in a way, not clouded by hatred. But another important scene here in terms of the relationship stuff, Sakura speaks up. You really insist on leaving. And she says, the artificial hand Lady Tsunade is crafting from Lord Hashirama's cells will be ready soon. And Sasuke says, I want to know how the shinobi world, how this world looks to the current me. I feel like I'll now be able to see things I've overlooked. That things that I can only perceive in my current state. And there's been a matter that's been weighing on me. And Sakura asks, like she asked in part 1, what if I said I wanted to come with you? And he says, it's a journey of atonement too, and you have nothing to do with my crimes. And Sakura kind of slumps down, nothing to do with her. But Sasuke turns around to her, says maybe next time, and gives her the Itachi, the Uchiha, poke on the forehead and says thank you to her as she blushes. And obviously we later on learn, like, we know this is important to Sasuke, but especially I think Naruto Gaiden establishes just how important this kind of finger poke is, that this is almost like more important than a kiss in terms of their relationship, that he's kind of said this, and just he's for the first time given her like notification of just like, I need to do this on my own, but maybe next time I go off you can come with me, that their relationship kind of will start next time I'm back. And as he walks off, we see that Naruto is waiting by a tree just up the road, and we get the idea of just like there's something that Naruto's giving back to him. And again, further kind of monologue from Sasuke. You stopped me as a friend, even at the cost of your hand, and I was saved thanks to you. We were insignificant little things who used to clash, and now we're able to claim each other's pain. After seeing the world via my travels, I believe this concept can be applied to even bigger things than just us. But it's not something that can be done as easily as you were able to. I never assumed it would be simple, just like it wasn't with the two of us, especially something so big. It's kind of like a prayer, to keep enduring until it comes to be, no matter what. And to those whom the task falls on, perhaps of what it means to be a ninja, as Naruto gives Sasuke back the headband that he has had basically since their initial fight. The one he put the scar on through when he, in their first fight, chose to go for the whole kind of honor thing in that fight of targeting his forehead, to touch his forehead and prove Sasuke wrong, rather than going for like a injury inflicting blow. And it's just, Sasuke says, sure, I'll hang on to it until we have our real fight, as we, that's more or less kind of like the end of the series in the present day. That is the end of chapter 699 of just, the headband being given back, the two of them as friends. And it's an interesting note to end on, of just like, it's Sasuke leaving on this journey of atonement to kind of, just kind of travel the world and like experience what the shinobi world is like, and be able to see it on his own, and just like establishing that, okay, Naruto and Sasuke are friends. Like, he's going to come back for Sakura at some point. But it's like, I like that they did this and didn't just have him stay in the village, everything's happy, Sasuke's good again, that he is going on this like journey to learn in a way, and I like that. Chapter 700 is a time skip ahead, and we see like all the couples, and we see who got with who, we see their children, and this is the introduction of Boruto, effectively Naruto's son, and we see Sarada, who is Sakura and Sasuke's son, but also that Naruto has a daughter as well, who is Himawari. And we see that Himawari and Hinata are at the grave of Neji, and it's just a nice moment. Lee has a son now, Metal Lee. We see once again they note Tenten having the Sages of Six Paths tools in her shop. That Sarada is kind of spying on Boruto. Tamari and Shikamaru have a child. It's Shikadai. We see that Choji and Karui are together. They have a child. Ino and Sai are together. Just all of these kind of nice kind of moments are kind of going on here. We see an older looking Guy and Kakashi hanging out. We see the previous kind of batch of Kage, apart from Gaara, of course, who's still young, kind of hanging out together. B is still with the Eight Tails. Just a lot of like just nice moments here. We see that Udon and Moegi are basically also kind of assistants to Naruto in a way. Shikamaru is Naruto's assistant, and we haven't quite revealed it yet, even though it's very obvious what's happening here. We're not being properly shown the last face on the stone monuments, but Boruto is up there doing stuff to it, and he's defacing it, he's painting on it, and this is where Naruto properly arrives and kind of tells Boruto to give it up. And the key moment here is just Naruto saying this to Boruto. Boruto, all of the people in this village are like family to me now. There are times when I can't be Pa just to you. I realize it might be painful for you, but you got to start learning to endure if you're a ninja too. And just this idea of like, Boruto is very similar to Naruto in some ways, but it is a different dynamic because he has a father here who's able to come in and scold him. He doesn't require like an Iruka type character to come over and scold him, or get the other people in the village to scold him. It's purely for like the attention of his own father that he's doing this stuff. We see Sarada come home and just note that boys are so stupid, and hinting that there's maybe something developing between those two, and that Sasuke still for the most part stays away from the village and is out doing his own thing, but always this sense of he's somewhat protecting the village from afar. And we see the current kind of Kage meeting, and we see who the current Kage are. It's Chojiro, Kuratsuchi, Darui, is it? I keep forgetting all those Cloud Ninjas' names. Gaara, of course, and then Naruto there as the new Hokage. And we end with just the idea of like, yes, Boruto had painted all over Naruto's stone monument. note the One Piece reference here with the Straw Hat Pirates. Jolly Roger painted there, and Naruto convenes the Gokage Council. And we end with this interesting page, interesting art, and then just some dialogue. Once upon a time, there lived a fox spirit with 9 tails. It was sealed away inside a shinobi child who, over time, befriended and came to collaborate with the fox. Then befell a new calamity of reviving of 10 tails, but the shinobi child matured into a shinobi youth, became one with the fox spirit and the shinobi clans, and then sealed 10 tails away. This shinobi youth, who bore the fox spirit, was the son of the 4th Hokage, and was himself called the 7th Hokage. And that's how we end Naruto, that he became the Hokage eventually, has a son, has his own family, and that's a very fitting kind of moment to end on, that the next generation is going on. Was it the perfect way to reveal it? I can see some people making the argument for, like, it would have been really cool to see Naruto just the moment where he steps up and is announced to everyone for the first time as the 7th Hokage, and like it's Kakashi passing it on to him. But at the same time, I also respect the idea that they made it so apparent over the course of the series that Naruto was going to become Hokage. So the actual just full-on just reveal of that initially happening wasn't as important as, it maybe was made out to be, because the whole idea of, you become Hokage, like, when you are acknowledged by everyone in the village, that is the whole idea. When you are acknowledged by everyone, that's when you are a Hokage. That's what Naruto has been up to now. Since basically the pain fight, since he became the hero of the Leaf Village, this was kind of like destined to happen. So it wasn't really much of a surprise in that sense. So in a way I kind of understand and respect the idea of him just saying that, like, no, we'll just say he's already been Hokage for a while, but we'll use this incident with Boruto as a way to kind of introduce him as a father as well as the 7th Hokage here. And that's just a really, really nice way to end it. And just overall, I thought the Sasuke stuff was super well done. And because you basically had to cram in, like, effectively, so many volumes worth of character development for Sasuke into the end result of this fight. And I thought he managed to do that really, really well, and make it worthwhile, that eventually this just got through, this connection between these two characters. It seemed like it was just one way, Naruto to Sasuke, the entire time. But in the end, them both completely out of energy, both have lost an arm. Sasuke just comes out and admits that, like, yeah, I felt the exact same way. I just, after feeling that way, tried to cut the ties that I had made so I wouldn't feel this way again. But you had a strength that I didn't have, to be able to just forge these bonds, even though you had all this loneliness as well. And that was where, like, the jealousy and stuff like that came from. So I really, really liked how that was done. And yeah, that is the end of Naruto in this Airspeed Reads Naruto series. I will be doing 2 more videos as a way to kind of finish up this series. The next one will be probably within the next day, probably tomorrow. And that will just be a kind of discussion of basically Naruto overall. I'm not going to make it, like, overly long, but I just want to do a kind of reflection on the entire, like, 72 volumes up to now. Just a kind of wrap-up video. And then probably in a couple of weeks, I definitely need time to plan this one. I want to do a top 10 moments from the Naruto manga kind of top 10 list. So that'll be coming at some point as a way to just fully wrap up the series. But yeah, that has been the final volume review for volume 72. Let me know what your thoughts were on how the series came to an end, your thoughts on what I had to say about it. But yeah, that has been the end of Airspeed Reads Naruto. Thanks for watching this entire series if you watched all the videos. But yeah, that's been a video. Thanks for watching, and bye.